Just thought I would show y'all my legs after mowing because my husband jerry rigged our lawn mower. Isn't that fun? So fun. So I've gotten 2 really hard phone calls today. My grandfather's husband got taken off the ventilator today and passed away. So that's hard. But we were prepared for it. So it's hard, but we were prepared. What I was not prepared for, I got a phone call. One of my students passed out during sports practice after school today, and just a freak accident, passed away. We don't know if it was heat stroke. We don't know what happened. But so today sucks. This afternoon sucked. I'm also really mad because the minister that probably gave my grandma's husband COVID because he got sick and he was not encouraging his congregation to wear masks, basically told my grandma that he has taken off too much work from being sick and won't be able to do a service until Saturday or Sunday. And I get it. I get that. But he literally, in my opinion, killed him. He's not my grandpa, so that's why I'm not calling him that. My grandmother married him after my actual grandpa died, and I never called him grandpa. But I don't feel comfortable calling him by his name because I mean that's not whatever. His name is Riley, so I'm just really mad because this minister put Riley's already, because Riley had leukemia, he put his health at risk and put he wanted the numbers to be up at church. So he encouraged my grandmother and her husband Riley to attend church. There was no mask enforcement. Every single female at that church has caught COVID. Many of the males have caught COVID. The minister himself had COVID. And it's just the gall that you would say to my grandmother who just lost her husband, I've missed too much work because I've been sick. The fuck? It's been a hard day. Hi everyone, so it is Wednesday, and today we're doing our first lab. We're doing a density lab. We are actually in a lab space. We have a large lab space, so I do not have a lab classroom. I'm sure you've noticed. So we actually go to a lab that is a shared space, and we have 5 chemistry teachers doing lab today. Luckily, we are the only ones utilizing the lab today because there's a biology side, a chemistry side, and a physics side. So all 5 of us can't fit in one side, so we're actually able to spread out, which has been helpful. And then we're using marbles and glass stones, so they're just sitting in solution isopropyl alcohol. So when the students get to the lab, their glass stones and glass marbles are sitting in a little cup of isopropyl alcohol. They take them out, dry them off, use them, and then they deposit them back into some fresh isopropyl alcohol for the next class. One period has gone by and it's worked so far. Really the only thing we're struggling with is having enough balances for that many classes. So my class, we had about 6 lab groups. Another class had about, I think, one had 6 and the other one was on the other side, so it wasn't counting. So I shared my side of the lab with another group, and we're trying to stagger it a little bit. So my class was in there first, and then as we were finishing up, another group came in. So it actually worked pretty well. But it's a quick lab. They're taking 6 points of data, so they need 6 masses, 6 volumes. So we just got in and got out really fast. But so far it went really well. We were planning on, if it didn't go well, filming it and taking like a snapshot or a picture of students' data and posting it into our LMS and having kids use it that way. For kids in class, I'd probably just post it on my screen, and then they could I could just show them pictures of how we took the data, or I could do a quick film of it myself during prep period, which is now at second period. But I did want to show you, we were given permission to use our class calculators, so we just have these little pockets. I've seen them a lot on like Instagram and Pinterest for cell phones, but we actually use them for calculators. And our cleaning solution is bleach, so we're not allowed to use that on the calculator itself. But I saw somewhere to put it in a baggie, essentially, and then we can wipe the outside of it. So that's what I'm setting up right now, so that my students can use. Last year we required every student to use our calculator, so we only had to show students how to use one calculator, because every calculator tends to have its own, like, push this button or where location of the button, or I've seen some calculators that look really crazy. So this year we can't require them to use our own, because if they feel uncomfortable, so they have to bring their own. I've been letting them use their cell phones. They just can't use a cell phone on a quiz. Our quizzes are on the computer, so we've just been enabling the calculator function on the computer. But some kids really don't like that, so that's why and I did have a kid, I only had like one of these made yesterday, and I did have a student who chose to use that, and it was really easy to clean. So yeah, hope that helps you. And here is the mess. I decided to take the lids off because we have them numbered on the back. We got these through a grant, so we scored them, and then we also numbered them. And this is just to keep track of where they got it from, and then that number is going to match their seat number. Our laptops that we can borrow are also numbered, so if a student is at seat 21, everything they touch should be 21. That's just to help with contact tracing. I do want to talk to you a minute about goggles. So we have lab goggles. They're goggles that stay in the lab, and they are just in these cabinets that are sanitizing cabinets, but they are not, what's the word? They're not approved for the coronavirus, so we can't use that sanitizing light to clean them. So I've been encouraging my students to bring their own goggles. I can't require it, but you can get them from Lowe's for like $3, I think. That number could be wrong because that's how much they cost when I was in high school, which was a while ago. But I've just been encouraging them to bring their own if they're uncomfortable, because we do have a sanitizing solution we're putting the goggles in. Like, they're just supposed to dip it, but we don't have it ready yet. So like for today's lab, we didn't have them use goggles, even though we technically were in the lab, we should, but we had no way to clean them. So yeah. Hi everyone, it is Friday at about 1:30. I took the day off today because this week's been really hard, and we are preparing for Riley's funeral, and my student's funeral is tomorrow, and I just needed a mental health break. I didn't think it would happen this early, and I don't often take them, but I just felt like I needed the day. But if you are an educator, and preparing for a substitute is often more hassle than it's worth. My kids today my chemistry kids are taking quizzes online, and my anatomy kids are taking their first test, so it's probably not the best day to take off, but just felt like I needed to for myself, and the kids will get over it. They'll be fine. actually a lot more people out and about this afternoon than I expected there to be. A lot of the retired people, a lot of people who are just working from home, so hopefully they don't think I'm crazy. I just wanted to give you a little wrap up of the week. So it was just, things are going by really quickly. The kids in general are, I don't want to say better than normal, but I haven't really had any issues. I was talking to a first year biology teacher yesterday, and she said she's just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. She's like, I've had no issues even in my, lower level class where kids tend to act out a little bit more. I think it's just because kids want to be at school. They want to be anywhere but home because they've been home for so long. So if you are a first year teacher and you are waiting for the other shoe to drop, I don't think you have to. I think kids are just so excited to be with other kids and with their teachers and learning, and so they're generally pretty well behaved right now. I do want to address, so I know I've been talking about making a video about students and Black Lives Matter, but there's a woman who goes by on the internet, Educator Barnes, who she said everything I wanted to say. So I'm going to link her video down below. I linked it, I think, in a previous video, but why redo something that she just did really well? So I'm going to link that for you. I will say the highlight of my week was yesterday after school. We had our first BSU meeting, and there were so many more kids there than normal, and I think we just set off on the right foot. Our student leaders were really organized and prepared, and sometimes at the beginning of the year, student leaders are they're thinking about so many other things that the first call out meeting can be kind of a mess, but it wasn't. It was great. And I think we garnered a lot of interest in the group, and that's awesome. So I'm excited. That meeting is usually the highlight of my week every week, just because they have so much energy and they're so positive, even when they're not, even when they're frustrated with things, they come there for constructive thought, and they're I just love being around student leaders in general, but this group of student leaders is just awesome, and I just love being with them. We even talked about, after the meeting, the past 2 years we've attended a Black Student Union conference that our city, well, not our city, another school in our city has started, but we think this year, just based on our own turnout, and last year the conference grew and almost doubled. So we're thinking about contacting them and starting a west side, because we're on the west side of town, a west side conference for helping new Black student unions get started, and just building a network. So that's really exciting. That's kind of the stuff that I love to do. So I told our advisors that that's something that I'd be willing to spearhead with the kids, just to kind of take off some of the stress from them. So I'm excited about that. And what else? Oh, they opened up, so I have some at-home learners. They opened up a separate course section in our learning management system for them today, of course, which is test day. So they all got pulled out of that class, put in another class, and I caught it in time, I think, for them to still be able to take their test, but I had to pull their test over. So hopefully nobody took it and then their grades got lost. I just told them to let me know what was going on and we would work it out. So still trying to be flexible, still trying to work with the kids. That's the most important part anyway, is making sure that the kids, get what they need. Oh, last night, before I forget, we had our open house via Zoom, which just makes me laugh. So we can have kids in the building, but parents have to be here via Zoom. I don't know. And I know each kid can possibly have more than one parent, and the risk of exposure to older generations, blah, blah, blah. And I actually every year don't have that many people come to open house because I teach chemistry, which tends to be taken by students who, I don't know, there's always one or two parents who are helicopter parents, but in general, chemistry students are pretty on top of things. Same with anatomies, 11th graders, their parents know the drill. They're not really worried. It's really the freshman teachers whose parents are, still trying to figure out high school stuff. So they usually are bombarded with parents, and then everybody else is just like, yeah, I talked to 12 parents tonight. The freshman teachers are like, oh, I talked to 45. So that was fun, I guess. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I think I've been warming up for about 6 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and go for a run, and then before I go for my run, I took the day off, and I told myself, because I was getting really behind, so I told myself, hey, in the morning, take an hour or two and get caught up, so next week you're less stressed. So I dropped my son off at daycare at 7 o'clock. I ran to the store to pick up a couple things. So I got home probably around 8, started working at 8. I didn't stop working until 1:30. So if that tells you how far behind, and I'm not the only one. I just was lucky enough, not lucky. I took the day off for Mental Health Day, tried to get up to speed on some things, and then, it took me 5.5 hours to get caught up. So we needed 5.5 hours. And I don't think I'm the only one. I know that one of my partner teachers is really behind and stressing him out. And and we're not behind in terms of like what we're doing today. We're less prepared for stuff. So I just got an email, literally, right now, from my principal about I think it's the 4th or 5th case of COVID now. So hopefully I don't get an email telling me I need to quarantine. But if you have students who are currently under quarantine, what I'm having them do is kind of what we did in the spring. They're just following along, and then all of my quizzes are online, so I'm just asking them to take them on Friday on their day. Same with any at-home learners. I had a student email me today from anatomy. She asked, because I had 2 tests up, one for at-home learners and one for the regular class, and she's a regular student on quarantine. It's like, just take the regular. You're not an official at-home learner. Take the regular one. So that's the benefit of having an online management system, is that you can keep your kids who are not sick, who are just stuck at home, up to date, so that when they come back to school, they're not 2 weeks behind. I'm gonna go ahead and run, and then just enjoy the weekend. Try and spend some time with my grandmother, and just think about my students' family and send them some positivity, and hope that you guys have a great weekend, and that you are kind to each other and you're kind to yourselves as school starts back up. And have a great weekend.